Legion Lost number 9, written by Tom DeFalco, art by Pete Woods. This is part 3 of the Culling, and last issue, the team had defeated the Ravagers, which are Harvest's personal goons, so now Harvest shows up. And it's nothing. It's literally just, hey, let's take a look at how big of a bad Harvest is for 22 pages. So, yeah, this Harvest shows up, and he apparently, in between the issues, which apparently was only 10 seconds, but during those 10 seconds, he instructed all of the Ravagers, hey, get up and leave, to which they did. So, now it's just Harvest versus this specific group of teams, because all the other ones have been herded and shepherded away from the fight, and they're looking for an escape route. So Harvest just blasts and bolts at them, and literally it's just everybody gets a page to try to attack Harvest. That's all it is. That's like really all this book is. So he's got some sort of protective force field, which they call his null something later on, and they say this, they establish a telepathic link across the group, and then Bunker just runs in and says, like, I'll take care of this, and he runs up and lands a punch on Harvest's face, and then Harvest just bats him away. That was Bunker's page. So then the next page is technically plan page, where, okay, everybody, like Gates, Chameleon Girl, Bunker, and I think Tellus, maybe not Tellus, I don't know. They all take the rest of the teens and just try to get them out of the Crucible and up, to the surface. And so that's the end goal right there for that. We see Ridge, one of the Ravagers, woke up, and apparently he was knocked unconscious, so he couldn't leave when everyone else did, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure several of them were knocked unconscious at that time, but regardless. We see Chameleon Girl go to attack, and Tyrock says, stand down, but she says, sorry, I work for a higher authority. And then Harvest reveals, yes, I know, you work for the group called Echo, as he blasts Chameleon Girl away. And then basically they're like, the entire Legion's like, who the hell is Echo? What? We're going to have a talk about this. What in the hell was that? So then Timberwolf and Wildfire try attacking. It's called a null field. My bad. Doesn't quite work out. Kid Flash runs in, immediately gets backed away, but then as he's doing so, Harvest is like, yes, but I didn't expect anything less from you, Kid Flash, considering how you were raised. And Kid Flash is like, you know who I am? You know where I came from? Please tell me. But of course, he doesn't. And then he reveals that he's actually broken into their telepathic link and can hear all of their strategizing. And then he says, yes, Legionnaires, I knew about this because did you honestly think you were sent back here to the 21st century because of some virus? Nay, it was I who sent for you. And then we cut over to all the teens trying to escape. And as they're making their way through the tunnels of scientists or whatever, Dr. Caitlin Fairchild from Superboy just comes out of one of the vents and says, hey, hi, I used to work here, but now I've turned against them, and I'm willing to help you. And they're just like, okay, I guess, sure, why not? And then Rose Wilson shows up and says, like, Dr. Fairchild, my mortal enemy, let us fight. And so they start fighting. Meanwhile, Gates and Bunker are making their way down some other tunnels, and as they make their way through, Gates just happens to look over into one of like the side rooms, and he's like, oh my god, they have a time bubble here. Why do they have a time bubble? Guys, they have a time bubble here. We can go home. Cut back to the fight with Harvest. It's literally just more random ass shit being thrown around here, and Harvest is trying to do his thing of like, here's why I'm right. I'm not a madman. I've seen the future and I look to save it via whatever this is. And they're like, okay, but you're still evil, so we're still going to beat you up. And apparently, his whole thing is he's trying to save the future. Sacrifice a few hundred teens to save the lives of quintillions. So, I don't... Whatever. He's saying that all of this is his plan. That's like, I just summed up 10 pages of this book. He just keeps on saying over and over again, like, of course, I knew it would end up like this, because I'm from the future, maybe, sorta, kinda, ha 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 ha. And so then he keeps on saying how he wants them to join their Ravagers so that they can save the future together or whatever. And then the Legion as a whole goes to attack. He just swats them all away, no problem. And he points out that the virus that they were sent back for, like, it would have eventually just dissipated rather than, like, becoming a pandemic. So, like, if they just did a little bit of, like, thinking, it would have been obvious, I guess. I'm not sure how true that is, but regardless. So Rose Wilson and Fairchild are still fighting. And then Fairchild gets knocked on her ass. And she's like, no, Rose, I fight against nowhere because I fight for love. Everyone deserves to be happy or whatever. And she's like, that's stupid. That's really stupid. And she goes to attack Fairchild. And then Ridge shows up, knocks out Rose, and says, I heard your speech and I thought it wasn't stupid, so now we're good guys. And then they just go away. So we go back to the fight real quick. We see Superboy taking a shot. We see Wonder Girl taking a shot. And then Wildfire, he makes contact with Tellus and he's like, Tellus, I need you to put up a barrier between you guys and me and Harvest. I'm going supernova up in this bitch. And he opens up his containment suit, which unleashes all this anti-energy. And Harvest literally says, this isn't going to work. And he's like, ah! And it doesn't work. And Harvest literally forces the energy back into his suit and closes it up again. And he's like, all right, guys, we good? Have we proven that I'm invincible? You can all start by kneeling before me. And that's where the issue ends. Picked up in Teen Titans number 9 eventually. So at a certain point, it becomes laughable how amazing, crazy, unbeatable your villain is, right? Like, there's no... If you have to spend an entire issue being like, and they tried everything, and nothing can possibly beat them, and we're in part 3 of 4 of the series, you know what that tells me is that in part 4 they beat him. Or at least they managed to get the upper hand on him somehow. They think of something. If you did this in part 4, I'd be like, okay, yeah, no, this is now the status quo of them having not beaten him. But putting it in part 3, it's like, all right. And I know I'm meta reading it. I understand that. But at the same point, you know the tropes and you're playing them so straight. Like, I don't... Do something with it. Do anything with it. I will say I do enjoy some of the dialogue in this, everything that's not coming out of Harvest's mouth for the most part, or during the battle of Rose and Dr. Fairchild, because that was all done the whole way through. Like, but occasional dialogue throughout here I've actually enjoyed, and I put that up to the fact that it's being written by Tom DeFalco solely rather than with Scott Lobdell. Art good, better than Superboy's was, but still has its weak points at times. I don't think that they really had a character sheet for what Harvest actually looks like, because it seems like everybody's been drawing him differently throughout this event. So, whatever. Overall, give it like a 5. Like, it's not great, but I also... It's just another part of this crappy event, and I can't wait for it to be over. So, yeah, that's part 3, and... hooray, only one part left to go before I never have to think of the culling ever again.